Fabulous. Thank you, Michael. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining today. It's been a really incredible year for LGP, and we continue to make significant progress. We are known for hitting milestones, and we've recently made some really great achievements. We're one of the few companies globally at the moment that has the manufacturing capability to deliver our medicines into Europe. We recently became the first Australian company and the third company ever to deliver full plant extract medical cannabis oils into Germany. And we also secured a partnership with one of Australia's biggest health insurers to rebate cannabis medicines for patients. So this has been huge. So plenty of updates here today in this presentation. Let's get started, and we'll move to the corporate overview slide, please. So I'm going to point out again here that Angus and I own 19% of the company between us. And the reason I mention this, it's simply we think like you, like shareholders. So we're extremely motivated to make LGP a big success and achieve our goals. We're in a really solid position. The company has no debt. We have a net cash position of about 4.2 million. The balance sheet is strong, and we simply don't plan on coming back to the market as we're currently operating within our means. The market cap's around 60 million, and this is growing as we continue to hit our milestones and achieve our strategy of international growth. Now, to reaffirm for existing shareholders, but also for new shareholders that might be on the call today, LGP is a vertically integrated medicinal cannabis company. And this means we're across that entire supply chain. So from cultivation and production right through to manufacturing and also distribution. Our indoor grow facility has just been re-rated from producing 100,000 bottles per annum to over 300,000 50 ml bottles of medicine per year. So that's about 3 tonnes of flower annually. I want to make it really clear here that LGP is in the medicinal space. So we produce pharmaceutical grade cannabis medicines, which is used for treating a variety of medical conditions. So this is really fundamental because we're all about changing people's lives positively. And so our vision is to do extraordinary things for our patients. And this is really at the heart of everything that we do and every decision we make. And in essence, it's about solving real patient problems. We want to improve patient access, affordability. Sorry, if we can move on to the next slide. We're wanting to look after patient access and affordability and the different drug delivery technologies which we're exploring. Because we're delivering medicines now that we need to for patients across the world, but we're also working in the background on longer term solutions such as unique drug technologies. So here we really want to deliver a return for our investors, but we also actually want to deliver patient outcomes. So we all win. And this is how we're going to do it. So next slide. We operate across the entire supply chain. So we found this to be incredibly important because we recognize where value lies. I'm going to just provide you with a quick snapshot here of this particular slide, and then I'll delve into these in a little bit more detail shortly. Firstly, we have an indoor cultivation facility in the southwest region of Western Australia, and that can now produce 3 tonnes of raw biomass or flower per annum. So this is about 300,000 bottles of medicine. If we need to, we can actually double this capacity due to the additional space we have next door, so on site. But importantly, we've got existing supply lines of high quality raw material from third parties. And this is to ensure we have more than enough raw biomass for our anticipated sales volumes. And this gives the company options. But we're not just growers, we also manufacture. So we recently commissioned our very own GMP facility, and this has been licensed by the Federal Office of Drug Control and the Therapeutic Goods Administration. So as a reminder, GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practice. This is really important as it's a prerequisite, is absolutely essential to selling to many countries such as Germany. So it's having this internal capability that allows us to realize value and drive margins further. And we continue in this manufacturing space to have an exclusive agreement and a really important relationship with a third-party GMP manufacturer. And again, this gives the company options and, more importantly, the capability to deliver on large volumes of medicine sales. Our product innovation business unit is also kicking milestone goals with a meet the market strategy and a lead the market strategy. Our meet the market strategy has seen 4 LGP classic oil medicines hit the market, with a 5th medicine to be released in the near term. Our lead the market strategy has also progressed with phase 1 of the ARISE project with Curtin University underway. Our patient access and education is simply one of the most important elements within the global medicinal cannabis community, particularly when it comes to sales growth. In a recent milestone moment, the company entered into a strategic partnership with the Health Insurance Fund of Australia, who has declared their support for researching cannabis as a medicine, in addition to rebating eligible members up to $105 per medicinal cannabis script. So everything that we're doing here in the first 4 steps is to enable us to create value for this 5th step, which is sales and distribution, and a key strategic goal for the company. So while our Australian sales are really strong and continues to grow, the company continues its international growth trajectory in multiple countries. So just last week, LGP announced Australia's first export of commercial cannabis medicines to Germany. And this is one of the largest target markets for medical patients. And this is one of the reasons I've been in Europe, to help establish these sales and distribution pathways and to get traction in emerging markets. So this is ultimately where the value lies, and everything mentioned here with today is an enabler to get us to this strategy. Next, please. As you may have noticed, we've been laying the foundations for the past few months so people understand strategically what LGP is aiming to do. So to ensure there's no ambiguity, this is our growth strategy. Firstly, establish sales in Australia. Increasing our sales domestically demonstrates market validity, and it also supports pathway to pursue the bigger prize of international sales. And the generation of commercial sales volumes in these international markets is absolutely our primary target. This is where we aim to make future profits. And it's the reason our recent export announcements are so meaningful. But these strategic shipments are really important as it proves out the pathways. We've sent over 2,000 medicine bottles last week to Germany, which have arrived in country. We've sent 2 commercial shipments to the UK, and we soon plan to send pathway shipments to South America and New Zealand also. And although these quantities are not necessarily hugely material, it's the process and pathways that make them so valuable. And it's how we're going to increase our sales pipelines into these more lucrative markets. So as a shareholder, keep an eye out for these real value driver announcements. Our long-term strategic goal, Our long-term strategic goal, so number 3 here, is product innovation and unique drug delivery. So solving real patient problems remains a key focus. And we've progressed our partnership with Curtin University for the ARISE delivery technology. The ARISE technology, or the atomized rapid injection for solvent extraction, is a supercritical fluid anti-solvent extraction technology, and it generates ultra small particles of active ingredients that are more readily absorbed by the body. So phase 1 of 3 of the Arise project has actually commenced, with high CBD and high THC cannabis resin being applied to the process. So really exciting advancement. Okay. So I have just mentioned the importance of the Australian market, and the industry here is growing rapidly, and LGP is a massive, we're massively contributing to it, and we're also benefiting to it or from it. So we continue to see month-on-month increase in sales. We've now sold more than 25,000 bottles in Australia, and in the financial year to June 2020, we've seen revenue from sales of 2.2 million. So our gross margin is sitting at around 52%. We expect this to improve with our new internal capabilities. Our patient numbers have increased by 58% just in the last quarter, to have more than 6,700 patients in total who are actually benefiting from our medicines. At the end of December, we estimated we had about 11.5% of the Australian market, and now we're estimating it to be around 16.5%. So a testament to our super strong medical engagement and education team that we have. So considering, we've got no more CapEx and we're operating well within our means, it really paints a positive picture as to what we can achieve, and particularly in those overseas emerging markets, which of course is where our focus lies. Okay. We've had some great achievements recently to realise this game plan of large sales volumes overseas, and we firstly need the capability to support our expected growth. So after harvesting our first crop from our newly expanded cultivation facility, our results were really surprising. Due to our experience, we've since adapted our growing methodologies, and we've refined higher yielding genetics and our processes optimally to actually obtain a capacity re-rating of 300,000 bottles of cannabis oils. That's about 3 tonnes of flower per annum, and it's almost 3 times the number of 50 ml bottles we thought we could produce originally from our facility. So that's huge news for us, but furthermore, we could double this again if we need to, with our ability to expand into adjacent land. And I get we're not limited to our own internal capacity, and even though this is quite large, it's important to know we've got these existing supply lines of high quality raw material from third parties, and this ensures that we have more than enough raw biomass for our anticipated sales volumes. So we're not just limited to our internal capability. Okay, and since our last shareholder update, we've commissioned our very own GMP facility or manufacturing facility. So being licensed by the Office of Drug Control and Therapeutic Goods Administration means that our in-house manufacturing facility is now capable of producing flower, cannabis oils and tinctures, and as well as pharmaceutical active ingredients. Our GMP facility is EU compliant, and this allows us to deliver products to countries across Europe and the Americas. It's such an important point to make, because we're in a unique position to supply the globe with our premium grade medicines, because we're one of only a few, like literally a handful of companies across the globe who actually have this capability. So, we still have, and we still work with our third-party manufacturer for additional high volume manufacturing, and this is really important. And the reason, this gives us an option. So not only can we, we've got our own facility to ensure that there's no debottlenecking, or no bottlenecking, I should say, and to ensure cost efficiencies with a focus on driving margin improvement. But having, again, both facilities available, so our internal and external, means that we're ready for production at scale to support these offshore sales. Okay, I think we've got a video here. Pictures tell 1,000 words, so I thought we'd take you on a short virtual tour of our operations. So what you can see here is one of our mother rooms, and these mother plants that you can see, the genetics that we use to take cuttings from to ensure the consistency of our medicines time and time again. Once we've taken cuttings from the mother plants, we place them into these clone domes that you can see until the roots mature to a stage where they can actually be transferred to pots. And in this potting room, you can see the hopper there where we place the cocoa peat into, and it goes into the pots and then into one of the vegetation rooms before going into one of our 9 specialty flowering rooms. So here, this is one of the flowering rooms, and we recently changed our growing methodology to have 4 plants per square metre to increase our output per 3 tonne. After we harvest the plants, the flower is transferred to our GMP drying room here, and this depends on whether it's for flour or oils as to how long it dries for. This is the trimming process that you can see, and it prepares the flour to go into trays for curing, packaging, and for sale. Here, this is the rotovap, which evaporates the ethanol, leaving behind the resin that's used in our oil medicines for final preparation. And then, of course, we get to the bottling, the labelling, and the packaging before it goes to our distributors. And then they send it on to patients upon presentation of a doctor's script. So sorry, that was quite brief and jumped a bit over the place with the internet connection, but hopefully you got to see what it looks like. It's got a real hospital grade feel about it, and doctors and investors alike who see it, wow, they love it. So that's it, a very brief virtual tour of the facility, but that's not all we have. We've also had more recent achievements, and to the next slide, which was where patient access and education. This is a really important announcement that's just been made. To assist our pathway to sales, we need to focus on patient access and affordability. And again, LGP continues to redefine the medicinal cannabis industry and pave the way for overseas emerging markets. So LGP recently entered into a partnership with the Health Insurance Fund of Australia to support a large-scale study and to conduct further research into cannabinoid medicines. And incredibly, HIF became the first private health insurance fund in Australia to publicly declare, support, and rebate cannabis medicines, with eligible members able to receive a rebate of up to $105 for an LGP medicine. And that's per script. So the reason this is really meaningful is that, one, it opens up patient access for the entire medicinal cannabis industry in Australia. 2, it proves the role medicinal cannabis has to play in the medical field, and just to show that it's becoming more and more mainstream and accepted. And 3, it sets the bar high for all the other health insurers who will need to follow suit at some stage. So this is great news for patients and producers as we continue to see patient access improve. Thanks, we'll move on to our sales and distribution, which we know our Australian sales are strong. We continue to export our cannabis medicines to the UK, and we're progressing our distribution network growth in Europe and also in South America. What I do want to focus on here, though, is our recent shipment to Germany and what that means. Just last week, I've mentioned this, that LGP again made history and announced Australia's first export of commercial cannabis medicines to the country. After 2 years of regulatory approvals, we delivered 2,400 bottles to CC Pharma in Germany. Now, only a handful of companies have actually supplied medical cannabis into this country due to its highly regulatory and also really strict framework it has for cannabis medicines. So only a handful of companies have actually supplied medical cannabis products into Germany. And in fact, LGP became the third global medicinal cannabis producer to deliver full plant extract cannabis medicines into Germany, only after Aurora and Tilray. So this is big news for LGP. It's big news for Australia. So again, the amount of bottles that we've just sent is not necessarily material, but it's strategically important because it proves out that pathway for future sales volumes in a market which, according to investment bank Brian Garnier & Co., could be worth up to 1.5 billion euro by 2025. So a huge market to be targeting. And being a popular flower market, LGP plans to send its first cannabis flower shipment to Germany early next year. Okay, so to finally finish up, these are the value drivers for the company. Since our last presentation, we've ticked off the commissioning of manufacturing facility and the granting of a TGA GMP license. We've done that. We've delivered the first shipment of over 2,000 bottles to Germany last week. And we have secured a partnership with a national health insurer to pave the way for other Australian companies. So look, we're known for hitting our news flow milestones. So keep an eye out for what's coming in the future, such as commencement of a first ethics approved large-scale study to support patient access. Delivery of products into New Zealand and South America, and also the delivery of our first flower medicines into Germany next year. So it's these types of announcements that's coming that demonstrates our solid progress to achieve our goals of these large sale volumes. Okay. Good. So I think we've covered lots today. I've done a lot of talking. A massive thank you to our loyal shareholders for your continued support and for attending today's AGM. Depending on how we're going for time, we may have some time for Q&A. So thank you for joining, and we'll wait to see what questions there might be. So Michael or David?